Python is a year 2000 creature feature directed by Richard Clabo. When a military plane transporting a giant mutant python crashes, the residents of a small town must find a way to stop the 129-foot terror before it devours them all. But before we get into this constricting compilation, I just want to ask that if you end up enjoying this video, then please consider dropping a like and maybe even subscribe, as it would really help my channel grow. So thanks. Also, there will be full spoilers ahead, but if that doesn't bother you, then grab your sausage roll from Greg's flavoured popcorn and whip out a pair of snakeskin sunglasses as we dive into the Python movies. So the movie begins with this military plane taking the safest route to its destination through a thunderstorm at night. But this doesn't faze our pilot, who is absolutely flying a real plane and not just pretending poorly at all. He notices the cargo in the back keeps moving around, so he tells his mate to go check it out. So he has a look and tells the pilot that the crate has warning signs all over it.
It's top secret, but go ahead, you got my permission, open it up!
I'm pretty sure the pilot wouldn't have the authority to do that. And also, are they really transporting a 129-foot python in a wooden crate?
That's the stupidest fucking thing I ever heard.
So he jimmies one of the boards off and looks inside, only to quickly realise that he done goofed. A giant tail breaks a hole in the side of the plane and the pilot is like,
What the hell is going on back there?
"Can't a pilot take a shit in peace?" Then as he listens to his mate being eaten alive, he remembers something very important. He doesn't actually know how to fly a plane. Then we're at a campsite where these two ladies are playing a game of Kiss Me Good Bits, but their loving is cut short when Lisa accidentally calls Roberta Robert.
I promise, next time I will get your name right.
And just like that, the moment has passed. Then Roberta feels something squeezing her legs. Oh my god! There's a snake wrapped around my legs! Chill out, that's just my pet snake, Robert. Bitch, you've done it again! No, that's the snake's name. Robert, I'm warning you! Seriously though, you took your python on a camping trip. Why?
I gotta go take a leak.
Outside and smoke it. I know it's a strange habit, but it's better for you than cigarettes. So she goes outside and lights up her root vegetable, but then hears rustling in the bushes before she screams at something off screen. Probably the giant python, but could have been a bear on stilts for all we know. Lisa hears the scream and pops her head out of the tent like, Robert! Bitch! But she's scared and zips up the tent as if a thin layer of polyester or nylon or whatever will protect her from a giant python. Spoilers, it won't. Then we get the title card.
Ah! My eyes!
I do love the early noughties new metal over the credits though, as our protagonist rides his bike like the crash helmet wearing rebel he is. That is until he bumps into a cop car, which is driven by none other than Johnny Lawrence from Karate Kid. But this isn't Karate Kid, it's Python, so I'm gonna call him Keith. Hit my car again with that bike and I'll make you eat it. What, my bike? No, my car. Then he drives off, leaving our cyclist thinking, maybe I should dial down the ferocity of my velocity. I don't need that kind of animosity. I'm going to call him Tony, because he has both toes and knees. He then arrives at his workplace, which is called Perfecto Plating. Inside we see these two fellas try to mug a barrel of acid, but it's putting up a decent fight, so Tony doesn't get involved. His brother then shows up, who's the boss you see, and he shuts the shutters so his workers can develop respiratory problems a bit quicker.
For Christ's sake, Ryan, leave the door open, we're dying in here!
Yeah, Brain, I mean, what do you expect them to do? Wear the correct safety equipment like the sign says? Bloody outrageous. Anyway, I'm going to call his brother Brain instead of Brian, because every time I see the name Brian, I think of the word brain. And he says the factory is very close to being shut down, which sucks because it's been the family business for generations. Then despite only just turning up for work, Tony goes to meet his friend and Jesus magenta head Christ! What has wee Willie Weetabix done to his hair? You, sir, look like a fucking idiot. Anyway, they're off to meet their girlfriends at the old swimming hole. I'm going to call Tony's girlfriend Christmas Elf, because she's minuscule, and wee Willie's girlfriend is going to be called Lola Layin on a Lilo. Or maybe just Lola for short. So the fellas arrive and wee Willie goes for a dip with Lola, while Tony talks to Christmas Elf. She used to go out with Keith, you see, but then fell for Tony, who was his friend, so the two of them don't get along anymore. And just as Tony joins the others in the water, Christmas Elf spots a python in the grass. Not the big one though, just your average everyday python. She's freaked out though because she's tiny, but Tony's like, ooh, a python! I'm going to put it round my neck because I'm foolish. Then Keith shows up and is like, hey, isn't that Lisa's python? Maybe. How do you know? Well, I gave her the snake. And the python too. Keith offers to take it back to her, so Tony hands it over. Thank you, girlfriend stealer! Elsewhere, the sheriff's department have found the remains of Lisa. Who have we got here then? We've got Half Price, Sheriff Gob, and Officer Tumour, as he looks like he started life as a tumour removed from Steve Buscemi, which grew into a full person. Then Keith shows up and is all like, what? Lisa's dead? Oh man, I was going to give her the python. And the snake too. Half Price says it looks like she's been melted with acid, and the only place in town with acid is the Perfecto factory. But also, what the hell is going on with the size differences between these lot? Makes me want to rest a plank of wood on them and roll a ball down it, because the physics would please me. Back to the fellas who are in the car again, and Wee Willie Weetabix is annoyed that he left his camera at one of the houses he was trying to sell. Because apparently this neon bellend is a real estate agent. With hair like that, I thought his job was being a landing light for aircraft. Or selling drugs to kids. Or both. Anyway, Tony says he'll go and pick up the camera for him later. But then...
Hey, Tommy!
Who are you? And why are you so dumb?
This fella is Wee Willie's boss, who I'm going to call Slick Jim, and he's absolutely off his head, with his favourite pastime being shouting at kids from his sunroof.
I'll hang your balls like fuzzy dice from my mirror! You got that, Billy? You piece of monkey shit!
Then he speeds off, leaving Wee Willie thinking, Tony, why in the world is your leg in that position? Then we're introduced to Dr. Freddy, who's looking particularly smooth. These two fellas come to take him to their boss, who's played by Casper Van Dien with a moustache. I'm going to call him Van Tash. But what I want to know is, why the hell is he so small? It's like someone took a shrink ray to the bastard. Anyway, Dr. Freddy is a snake expert and wants to hire Van Tash's mercenaries to hunt down the escaped specimen. But our tiny trooper wants to know what it is he's looking for.
Well, in simple layman's terms,
A fucking mahoosive snack. Meanwhile, Slick Jim is showing a house to this lady whose hair is 20 years older than she is. I'm going to call her Blondie, and the sexual tension between these two is truly off the charts.
let me show you what I've got in the back.
I'd rather see what you got in front.
Filthy, but genuinely arousing.
But as they're negotiating a price, Slick Jim hears a smashing noise coming from the garage.
Damn kids are after my car! Don't sign with anybody till I get back! Touching, baby!
Now that's what I call aggressive salesmanship. So Jim takes a sword off the wall to give the kids a good scare, before seeing what they've done to his car. But I've got to say, there is no way you're convincing me a 120-foot python is hiding in that garage without him knowing. It ain't bloody happening. Except it is, and the beastie somehow sneaks up on him without him knowing. Blondie hears him screaming and calls 911 and says,
Yes, hello, I'm at the Red Rock Estates. I don't know, just send a car or a truck.
Despite not actually knowing what's happened. I mean, he might have just slipped on a cat and fractured his earlobe for all she knows. Anyway, she goes into the garage and sees him being eaten by a giant python, which then chops her head off with its tail, before showering Slick Jim in python brand orange juice. Later that day, Tony shows up to the house to pick up Wee Willie's camera, only to find a decapitated Blondie in the garage. So he calls the cops who arrive and question him, with Officer Toomer blaming Tony for the murder, despite him having absolutely zero motive. The sheriff doesn't want to take any chances though, so he shuts down Perfecto Platon until the case is solved. This pisses Brain right off, who blames Tony for it, so he storms off. His frustration-venting bike ride ends abruptly, however, when he once again hits Keith's police car. I bloody warned you, Tony! Now I'm going to give you a damn good thrashing! Where are we going to settle this? Well, middle of the road is as good a place as any. Nah, it's too dangerous, man. How about the kids' play park? But what about the kids? Screw the kids! Okay, that came out wrong, but yeah, the play park will have to do. Okay, that's enough. Want to be best friends again? Yeah, I do, yeah. Later that day, the cops find the melted remains of Slick Jim, and Sheriff Gobb agrees it's time to bring Tony in for questioning. Elsewhere, the gang are loading their car up for their camping trip tomorrow.
We're gonna try the campground up at Crystal Lake.
And if we don't get killed by Jason Voorhees, then that's a plus. But then Officer Toomer rocks up acting like the unstable menace he is, and they take Tony down to the station. Meanwhile, Sheriff Gobb has a run-in with Van Tash, who tells them they're on a hunt for an escaped killer who was responsible for all the murders.
Do you expect me to believe this load of horseshit?
Yes, sir. Yes, I do. Huh. You know, I like your optimism. Do what you gotta do, fellas. You have the department's full support. And here I was thinking we were gonna have to get the bribe money out. Down at the station, Officer Toomer is shouting at Tony because he's a goober.
What about the victims?
Deputy, if you don't remove yourself from my personal space in the next 3 seconds, I'm gonna choke you to death. With his dick. Then Sheriff Gobb turns up and tells them to let Tony go, which Officer Toomer is not happy about.
That's assault! That is assault!
Back to Freddy and Van Tash is going over their plan to destroy the snake. Okay, men, listen up. Our satellite imaging shows the scaly bastard having a nap in these woods here. So the plan is to walk up to it and shoot it till it dies. I call it Operation Acidic Sausage.
Excuse me, what's this here?
That is the computer monitor I have been showing you through this entire briefing. Oh, right, yes, of course. Any other questions? Yes, actually. Great. Then everybody...
Saddle up! Let's get this movable feast underway!
So they get the police to block off the roads surrounding the area just in case the snake tries to disguise itself as a civilian and drive out of there. while Van Tash's soldiers loudly trudge their way through a river, because stealth isn't necessary as the snake is asleep. Eventually they spot a slithery tail disappear into the bushes.
Lock and prepare to open fire on my command.
So they all take aim at the bush the tail went into, and Van Tash says,
"Take her out."
And they unload everything they've got, despite not actually being able to see the damn thing.
Target destroyed, sir.
So Freddy and Van Tash go in for a closer look, only to find it was just the snake's shedded skin they were shooting at. Are you telling me that this bunch of cabbage-brained morons can't tell the difference between a 129-foot snake and a pile of snake skin? Because if you are, then I would be upset.
Well, if it was here, then where is it now?
Shit! Operation Acidic Sausages a bust. Commence Operation Pickled Retreat. So the snake starts killing all the soldiers off screen to save money, before it catches Van Tash and Dr. Freddy out in the open. Freddy tells him not to move, but Van Tash starts raising his gun saying, No, I think I can take it, before it impales him with its tail. Operation Pickled Retreat is a burst. Commence Operation... Then the snake leaves Freddy alone because it enjoyed him in those 2 Lake Placid sequels, despite them not even being made at the time. Elsewhere, Wee Willie Weetabix and Lola turn in for the night, but Wee Willie notices her folks' house is oddly quiet.
Hey, where's your mom?
I cut her up into tiny pieces and I stuffed her in the freezer in the basement.
I'm going to sleep on the couch tonight because I'm scared of you. Meanwhile, the cops are still out blocking the roads, and Keith says to Officer Tuma,
I'll try to get some sleep. I'll see you in the morning.
But remember, whatever you do, don't cover your face with your hat. The last officer who did that exploded into a big bloody mess. Oh, come on. How dumb do you think I am? The next morning, and Lola goes for a shower, only to be interrupted by our reticulated renegade. Needless to say, she's a bit startled by this, and shouts for Wee Willie, who can't get through the door because the snake's tail is blocking it. While it's distracted by his door banging, Lola manages to get over the top of it and out, but Wee Willie hasn't had his Weetabix yet, so he doesn't notice the gigantic serpent in the basement and says,
Dude, you got me out of bed for a snake?
Then it eats him, because he has the situational awareness of a dog with a bin on its head. So Lola runs out of the house and takes off in her truck with the snake hot on her heels. But she doesn't get far as it rips the back wheels off with its tail, leaving her to run barefoot still in her towel, which seems to be glued on with nothing but fear. Thankfully, she manages to hide in between some boulders where the snake can't get her. Elsewhere, Keith goes to wake up Officer Tuma, and oh, for goodness sake! You went to sleep with your hat covering your face, didn't you?
You dumb shit.
Then Tony and Christmas Elf find Lola's truck all banged up and he says,
Wait here.
And be very small. Both of which she does without much effort, but her horn honking attracts the attention of the slithery scoundrel, which somehow manages to get right up next to her without her noticing. How do people not see this thing immediately? It's huge, man! It attacks the car with her in it, but Tony helps her get out and they take off on their bags with the snake in hot pursuit. They somehow manage to lose it, but instead of just, leaving the area, they decide to stop and have a look behind this door, which leads down into Van Tash's bunker, where they find Dr. Freddy on his own looking sad. Then Lola shows up and they're like, Why are you in a towel? It's glued on. With fear. Ah yes, fear. The most resilient of adhesives. She tells them that Wee Willie Weetabix is dead, which pisses Tony off, so they decide they're going to trap the snake in the bunker and blow it up. So Christmas Elf calls Keith on his radio and says they need his help. Tony goes up top and sets up a harness thing while Dr. Freddy and Lola set up the explosives. It ain't long before the snake shows up, so Tony Mission Impossibles himself into the hole and runs through the tunnels with the snake not far behind him. Keith shows up and they drive around to pick up Tony, who radios the others saying, Okay, I'm ready. Pull me up. But Christmas Elf is faffing with the cable because her hands are too small to do anything. Pull me up, please. Nearly got it. Quickly. I'm about to die. Got it. And up he goes. I'm out. Please stop dragging me. Keith and Lola shut the hatch and they take off to the other entrance. Dr. Freddy gives Lola the detonator, but when she presses it, nothing happens. It looks like it's going to have to be done manually. So Dr. Freddy gives Christmas Elf his tiny snake and says, Please look after Bob Hoskins for me. Why did you call it Bob Hoskins? Because I could, my dear. Because I could. He then runs inside and locks the door behind him. He reaches the explosives, but just before he presses it, the snake shows up. Press it now, Freddy! Please, press it now! Now, Freddy, now! Oh my god, just press the fucking thing! Then boom! The whole place goes kablamo. But oh no! Kablamo didn't work! The scaly SOB's still alive, so it's time for plan B. They're going to lure it into the plating factory and dunk it in the vats of acid somehow. So they make it there and Tony tries to explain the situation without sounding mental. But he does sound mental, until the snake comes crashing through the wall, proving he's not mental.
What is that thing?
I think the doc called it Mahusivas snecus, Tony tells the others to operate the winch controls while he grabs its attention, which he does by hitting it with a plank of wood, then standing less than a metre away from the bloody thing. So the snake follows Tony over the acid vats, then Christmas Elf releases the winch and it dunks the giant bastard into the acid. It tries to wiggle its way out, but it's too late, as the acid melts its belly and its innards fall out. Ugh. So the day is saved. Tony and Brain open up a bike shop / bar with the money they didn't have. Keith gets accepted into the FBI because they like the shirt he was wearing. And Christmas Elf is preggers. So her and Tony need to go shopping for the smallest crib known to man. End of movie. And there we have it, folks. Python is an utterly ridiculous and highly entertaining B-movie, packed with bizarre performances and a fairly rubbish CGI snake. It's certainly not a good movie, but I still think it's fun and is worth watching, even just for Robert Englund and Casper Van Dien. But what the hell was he thinking doing that accent, though? It's worse than half the ones I do, and I'm not even a professional. New Alcatraz, or Boa, as it was renamed later, is a 2001 creature feature directed by Philip J. Roth. The personnel of an Antarctic maximum security prison have more than the inmates to worry about when they accidentally unearth a giant prehistoric snake. So the movie begins with some text telling us the maximum security Antarctic prison we're about to see is completely escape-proof. But not if Ray Breslin from Escape Plan has anything to say about it. In fact, let's give him a call. Hello, Ray? What? What do you mean he's a fictional character? Fine, I'll talk to Stallone then. What do you mean my phone's not even on? Oh yeah. Then we see the prison itself, which is 100% real and doesn't look the slightest bit crap. Honest. Inside we meet the warden, Bobby Fivehead, and his chief of security, Mike Rophone, who are talking to this engineer about drilling down into the Earth's mantle to power the prison or something stupid. But they've hit a snag as they've come across a big hollow rock.
So you gotta drill through a hollow rock. What's the problem?
The warden wants to know why we just don't drill through the rock.
How the hell should I know? It's my first day! Wait, you've been working here as long as I have! What, it's your first day too? Anyway, he tells them that there's a risk of a high-pressure gas release explosion, but Bobby wants that rock drilled now and says, "Activate the mega drill!" So they do, and wouldn't you know it, there's a high-pressure release gas explosion. Wiggle, everyone, wiggle! We can't afford to shake the set, so wiggle like you've never waggled before! Then we see down into the drill hole and something large and serpentine eats the camera, which isn't ideal because now I can't see shit. Then we're at Princeton University, where we meet our protagonist, Brian Superman, who's teaching his students what life was like in Antarctica millions of years ago. So, to summarise, everything that lived back then is now dead. Get over it. And that concludes my final lesson as your teacher because I quit. What? Why, Professor? The reason, Alexandra, is because Terry is always sleeping through my bloody lectures! Oh, and also because my wife here wants me to go and dig up bones with her.
I'm gonna miss you, Dr. Trenton.
Oh.
Hello? Wife standing right here, bitch!
She's one of the more attractive paleontology students I've seen.
You know, if I recall correctly, you were the prettiest paleontology student that I've ever met.
Really?
Yeah, you were. But not now, though. Alexandra's way hotter. Elsewhere, we see this plane flying somewhere over the Indian Ocean, with these two fellas on board who I'm going to call Russell Sprouts and Morris the Horace. Apparently, they've just bought some nuclear missiles which were on a buy one, get one free offer at Target. But then their plane gets followed by these US fighter jets, which fire a plane-seeking missile at them. Who needs flares when a simple tilt to the right will suffice? But then the missile sends out an EMP blast, and they're forced to make an emergency landing. But where exactly are they going to land?
Diego Garcia, largest US military base in the Indian Ocean.
Hang on, you just bought nuclear weapons and then accidentally flew into US military airspace?
Who are you? And why are you so dumb?
A short while later and they find themselves in the Antarctic prison, New Alcatraz, and Russell decides to get some sleep. In an upright position because horizontal sleeping is for losers.
Mr. Bershka. Mr. Bershka.
What do you want? I'm trying to get some upright sleep over here. Do you know why you're here? Because of the nukes, I presume? No, you've been arrested for selling catnip on the black market. What? But catnip isn't illegal. No, but the black market is. Damn it! I knew I should have opened a legitimate catnip business. Mike then gets a call from the drill team who says, "Are you standing with your hand on your hip again?"
Mm-hmm.
Well, stop it, because I need you and the warden to come and look at something weird we just found. Let me guess. Another icicle that's shaped like a penis. Yeah, brilliant. We'll be right down. So they turn up and are like, "Right then, where's this frosty knob at?" Well, I left to go and take a piss, but when I came back it was gone and there was this massive hole there.
I want an immediate prisoner count.
6.5 hours later.
Yep, all 6 prisoners are accounted for. They make it to the other end of the tunnel and Bobby says,
"And what is this thing?"
"That is a ladder, you bellend." "Ooh, excuse me, but I don't speak Latin." The drill team says it was probably caused by the gas explosion.
Right. Because I can tell you, it's not penguins.
Then it's dinner time for the prisoners, and we're introduced to the other inmates, such as Ponce McDouche, Bald Moustache 1 and Bald Moustache 2, and finally Lucky Charms. Then we see the security guard keeping the entrance to the big hole secure, when he hears something odd and radios Mike.
Did you hear that? I need some backup.
"Sorry, no can do, Chief. I'm too busy swivelling on my swivelly chair. Besides, you've got a gun, you'll be fine. Unless it turns out to be a giant snake. Then you're buggered."
Jenkins, do you read me?
Nope, the only thing he'll be reading is Serpent's Digest. Mike then tells the drill team to check on him, but they seem somewhat confused by the order.
What? What?
What? What?
What? What?
What? What?
Say what again? Say what again?
Then all of a sudden a massive snake tail wraps around one of them and crushes him to death, and the other guy somehow doesn't seem to notice. You may want to look up and to your right there, fella. There we go. Back to Brian Superman, who is already regretting leaving his teaching job, as the grant money for the dig has already dried up. But then they see some Humvees heading their way, and Brian's like, "Ooh, I hope John Hammond steps out of that car." And hey, it's Christopher Michael from Guyver Dark Hero. Who from the what? The second Guyver movie. He played Atkins. You know, he was there undercover to spy on the Kronos Corporation. Sometimes I swear you're speaking a different language. Anyway, he's here to recruit Brian and his wife Sharon, as they need their assistance with Jurassic Park! Excuse me? You want us to go to Jurassic Park and give our feedback, and in exchange you'll fund our dig? Well, we are offering to fund your dig, but we're not going to Jurassic... Sharon, we're going to Jurassic Park! What dinosaurs you got? Polacanthus? Acrocanthosaurus? And where's Ian Malcolm at? Is he in that car? Can I go see him? No, goddammit, no, if you don't stop talking, I'm gonna shoot you in the knee! So shut up! Accept my offer to take you to Antarctica to identify a big snake, and maybe, just maybe, I'll let you sit next to Ian Malcolm. Maybe! So off they go to Antarctica, and on the plane they meet Military Matt, who was wearing his favourite military hat.
Hey, what can you tell me about this place we're going to? You weren't briefed?
No, I was already wearing underpants. Later on they arrive at the destination, but the weather is so bad outside the pilot can't see where to land.
We got no approach lights, no beacon.
What's the problem?
We got no approach lights, no beacon.
But thankfully they managed to land safely, despite having
no approach lights, no beacon.
Anyway, the pilot tells them they've only got 12 hours to sort things out, otherwise the plane's fuel will freeze.
No beacon.
So the team prepare to brave the blizzard outside, and Military Matt is like, "Jesus, it must be minus 60 out here." "What's the matter, Matt? Afraid of a little snow?" "No, I'm not afraid of snow, but I am afraid of triangles. But I'm sure that won't be a problem, so everyone follow me and pull this face the entire time." "Okay then, you're the boss." So they make their way to the prison, and once they're inside, Jesus, geometric Christ! Triangles! So Matt does the one thing that always takes his mind off triangles, eating his glove. Once they're inside the prison proper, they make their way past this makeshift barricade, and Brian says,
Jesus, what the hell happened here?
"Somebody put these blue barrels at an angle. The sick bastard! Oh, and don't call me Jesus, you weirdo." And it's not too long before they encounter what's left of the prison staff.
Freeze or fire! Everybody take a deep breath and listen to me.
But you told me to freeze.
I'm the only one with an access key to get out of this facility.
Wait, what? Even the warden doesn't have an access key. Then how the hell did they receive prisoners, supplies, and staff changes? The logistics make no sense, man! It's a low-budget movie, lad. These things aren't well thought out. Even so, it's the logistics, Ken! The logistics! Anyway, once everyone's calmed down, Bobby tells them about the giant snake running amok in the facility. It's some sort of giant prehistoric snake with a triangular-shaped head. Triangular-shaped head, you say? And shows them a video which is actually footage from the film Python, confirming that this movie is indeed part of the Python series. So Matt tells everyone their plan of attack, which is, unsurprisingly, to attack. So they watch as Military Matt and his military prats look for the giant snake.
Sir, I think I hear something.
Then the slithery sausage sneaks up on him and gives him a tail whip before giving him the big chomp. Bobby tells Mike to gather his men and give them some backup. Brian and Sharon also off to help too because they have zero combat training of any kind.
Simmons, where are you?
Matt and his men then fire blindly into some steam because Bobby tells him the snake is dead ahead. But turns out it was Simmons! And Matt's like,
God damn it, he's been shot!
when I find out who did this, I'm pretty sure that was us, Chief.
Shit!
Back to Brian, who tells Mike they're gonna walk because he needs to get his daily steps in. And Mike's all like, fair enough, now it's time to hit the turbo! Meanwhile, the snake is making a right mess of the rest of Matt's men, and in trying to shoot it, the numpty not only starts a fire, but also shoots a gas pipe next to it.
Word, we've got a major gas leak! Tell your men to pull back!
And hilariously, Mike and his men rock up at the worst possible moment and see Matt running off like... and boom! Everything and everyone in the tunnel goes kablamo. So Mike, Matt and the prison guards are all dead, and then the Supermans rock up and they're like...
Fuck!
But the snake soon finds them and they have to leg it. They try and get away through this hatch, but the snake attacks and Sharon falls down. It's fairly obvious that she's gone in this hole though, but why she didn't just stay in there and wait for the snake to leave is beyond me, leaving Brian thinking she's dead. So he goes back to the control room where Bobby says,
"You're alive. Yeah, my wife is dead, you son of a bitch."
I think he's taken it quite well considering. At least now he'll be able to turn his spare room into that man cave he's always wanted. Brian then comes up with the somewhat tenuous plan of releasing the prisoners so they can help them escape the facility.
With the prisoners' help, our chances of survival go way up. Do you get that?
You honestly think our life expectancy goes up by releasing a bunch of violent criminals? Well, who else is going to help us? Stallone? The only snake he knows how to fight is a Rocky Balboa constrictor. So they let the prisoners out and immediately give them all automatic weapons, because their plan wasn't stupid enough already. Russell says they can escape the facility if they climb up through the heat exchange tunnel and blow a hole in the ice using some explosives to get out. Right, and that's the plan. Anything to add, Ponce? So they split into two teams because they're idiots, and it isn't long before they encounter the slithery scoundrel. Oh no! Who did it get? Bald Moustache 1, I think. The other group also run into a problem as Ponce McDouche commandeers a little buggy and takes off on his own at a blistering 5 miles an hour. But they soon find him around the next corner like... Unfortunately for Ponce, the snake finds him and it impales him with its tail, causing the buggy to crash into another gas pipe. So the hallway is now filling with gas and Bobby has the big brain idea of standing in it and shooting, which causes the second gas explosion in this same bloody area! Anyway, needless to say, this leaves Bobby extra crispy. Back to Russell and the others who have found this big room.
What is this place?
This used to be the sad room, I believe. Used to be? Yeah, but not anymore. Now it has plenty of support. And wouldn't you know it, they find Sharon alive! But then the snake finds him and it must really like Bald Moustache too because it's got a serious crush on him. Unfortunately, Morris the Horace also falls foul of the Fanged Fiend too. But there's nothing they can do to help, so they continue their escape. They make it to the tunnel and Sharon says,
We have to wait for Robert.
First we get to the plane, then I come back for you.
I can't leave him behind.
Trust me.
well, if you can't trust an internationally wanted criminal who was arrested for buying nuclear weapons, then who can you trust? So they make it to the top and blow a hole in the ice to escape. Although I can't see them lasting for long without a hat or gloves in a blizzard at minus 60 degrees. Back to Brian and Lucky Charms, who have also reached the tunnel, but unfortunately for them, the snake follows them and gives her the chomp. So Brian makes it outside and ha! Russell did actually go back for him. So they make it back to the plane and Sharon is thrilled to see Brian. But he's like, oh, you're alive! Oh, thank God you're alive! Damn it! One day, man cave. One day. So they take off and are finally free from this nightmare. Or so they think, as that sneaky shit has slithered its way on board the plane. After giving the co-pilot some invasive tail surgery, it attacks the others in the back. So they open the cargo door, and Brian distracts it while Russell and Sharon tie a parachute cord to it. They pull the chute and out it goes. But unfortunately, as the snake gets pulled out, it wraps its tail around Russell and takes him with it. Then again, if he did survive, he might have started a nuclear war, so perhaps it's good that he didn't. So the day is saved, Brian and Sharon live miserably ever after, and he says to the pilot,
Hey, do you still fly this thing?
I sure can, even though there's
no approach lights, no beacon.
End of movie. And there we have it, folks. Much like Python, I think New Alcatraz/Boa is a solidly entertaining B-movie. It's very stupid, of course, but if you're looking for a fun, low-budget creature feature, then you could definitely do worse. Python 2 is a 2002 creature feature directed by Lee McConnell. A trucker and his wife are hired by the CIA to transport stolen cargo out of a foreign military base, which turns out to be a giant mutant snake. So the movie begins somewhere in Russia, because exactly where is not important. And we follow these soldiers around a military base before we get the title card, which I think we can all agree looks very, very crap. Almost as crap as this set. I mean, come on, what did they make this out of? Cardboard and tin foil? Anyway, the soldiers are getting briefed on their mission by this fella.
My name is Colonel Robert Evans Jefferson Jr.
Recently, I've been spending all my time
training to kill you.
I don't think he's very good at inspiring confidence. But their actual mission is to capture a
85-foot, 12-ton python.
Which is not going to be as easy as it sounds.
So I want to make one thing perfectly clear. I'm a black man.
Bullshit.
And what the hell is that lime green shuttlecock looking thing? I really want to throw a ping pong ball into it. So off they go to capture the giant snake, with Colonel Jr. saying,
"Now listen up! Small arms fire only!"
"I'm looking at you, Thalidomide Bill. Way ahead of you, Chief." So they arrive at their destination and search this massive cave for the snake, when the abseiling team begin to open fire.
What the hell are you shooting at?
I'll give you a hint. It begins with sn and ends in ache. Well, leave that sneezing cake alone and shoot the giant python, damn it! So they keep shooting at the snake, which is just off screen to save money.
Alpha 1 requesting immediate reinforcement.
Roger, Alpha 1. Our order was to supply you with one team and transport you target.
He's not even doing a Russian accent. He's just bloody mumbling. Then we get our first glimpse of the snake as it eats one of the soldiers in a shot so quick and blurry I've slowed it down for you. Jesus, paragliding Christ. I guess that's what you get if you render your visual effects on a Game Boy Advance. So Colonel Jr. tells the troops to lure it away so he can pump it full of
500,000 amps of pure power.
You are talking about zapping the snake with the electric gun, aren't you? Because I'm not doing this just so you can get your freak on. So they force it out of hiding with a grenade and zap it with their zappy guns. And bloody hell, how are the visual effects worse than the first movie?
Well, Sergeant, look like you made your government $50 million richer.
Now hold still while I take a picture, so I can remember this moment in the future. Then we get some pants-shittingly egregious opening credits, which last for over 2.5 bloody minutes. It also shows snippets from the rest of the movie, kinda like how Mission Impossible does, only edited by someone on drugs. Oh, and I'm pretty sure the music used is just me dicking about on a keyboard. Then we see this plane transporting the snake, and the cameraman on board has possibly the worst case of the wibbles I have ever seen. Then these baddies rock up looking to take down the plane and steal its cargo. They fire a rocket at the plane which hits one of the engines, and now it's going down, so the pilot activates the self-destruct, which asks, "Are you sure you want to self-destruct?" Now that I think about it, I actually want to live. What do you think, Phil? Actually, yeah, it's my dog's wedding next week, so I'd like to be there. So the baddies loot the crash site, but then the Russian military show up and blast them. And this guy on the left clearly forgot to load his gun as there's no muzzle flashes. So he just jiggles a bit so he doesn't feel left out. Anyway, they find the snake container, and if you're telling me an 85-foot snake can fit in that tiny box, then
I am Mickey Mouse.
How dare he?
That container's barely big enough to fit a large dog. Elsewhere, we see these fellas gawking at this lady thinking, "Oh yeah, get a load of that. Those trousers look great. I might buy some for my wife, who I'm very faithful to." Then we meet our protagonist, Spenge Beb Rectangle Head, his wife, Americandy, and his mate, Gibbon, who run their own goods transportation business and have just wrapped up delivering some worthless crap to this guy who should spend more time choosing his attire and less time dyeing his hair orange. Unfortunately, Spenge Beb gets $3 less than he was expecting, so Beardo gives him this small brown thing as compensation. Spenge Beb ain't happy though, so he says,
"Pack it up, we're out of here."
But he's stopped by the least threatening goons of all time. So he licks his fingers, probably because he had a bit of ketchup left on them from his lunch, before he whips round and launches the small brown thing at Beardo's face, and in doing so puts all their lives in danger. The idiot. And who shows up at the last second to save them? None other than Johnny Lawrence from the first Python movie. Yay! He tells Beardo to back off or he'll drink all his hair dye, while Spenge Beb stands around looking like the only thing going through his mind is bah! So they have a walk and talk with Johnny, who wants to hire their transportation services. And good lord, check out how terrible the editing is in this movie.
Alright, listen up guys. A couple days ago we had an American plane go down in eastern Russia, a cargo plane. Fortunately for us, some of the locals investigated it.
Oh, that's rougher than sandpaper on a chapped arse. So the couple agreed to take the job because accepting a job for $100,000 from a stranger couldn't possibly have any downsides. Meanwhile, at this Russian military base, they're inspecting the case from the crashed plane, which is significantly bigger than it was earlier, but still not big enough to house an 85-foot snake. And this guy says,
I'm detecting movement inside. I do not want that opened yet.
Somebody get this fella an Academy Award so we can watch him try and eat it. But the case opens anyway because it's case opening o'clock. Yellow! My least favourite colour! Then the snake pops out of the case and starts wrecking the joint. So General Cabbage has a loud defensive wibble in the corner as the snake runs amok through the base. Back to SpongeBob and Americandy, who are doing what all married couples do in their free time, playing catch the baseball. And bloody hell, I swear this guy's head's getting more angular each time we see him. Anyway, Americandy is having second thoughts on accepting Johnny's offer, but SpongeBob says they need the $100,000 so he can finally buy a t-shirt that fits. Elsewhere, and holy shit! Hide your daughters and prepare to go weak at the knees, folks, cause here come the badasses! Cause I'm a badass! Man, they're so cool, my coffee's gone cold. It's a good job I like cold coffee then, otherwise I'd been well pissed off. So the Spenge Brigade turns up, Johnny introduces them to the team, and off they go on their snake capturing adventure. Soon they arrive at the military base and get tooled up, and SpongeBob is like, oh, so you're going paintballing? Well, you could have invited us. Don't even know if this is worth the $100,000 now. So Johnny and his team start scoping out this building.
Crawley, status.
Windows. Multiple windows. And I think there's someone inside filming us. That's the cameraman making the movie we're in, you cretin. One of the soldiers climbs this small tower and says, yep, just as I thought. I can't see anything more than when I was on the ground. Back to the truck and Gibbon says he's going for a piss, but ends up climbing that small tower so he can have a gander. Wouldn't you know it? He sees bugger all too because nothing is happening in this goddamn movie. Even Goatee McGree is bored out of his mind, so his mate offers him a cigar.
Nah.
I don't want to risk singeing me precious beard. Oh, but hold on. Looks like Johnny's found something. Oh, what is it? A corpse? A shedded snake skin? Nope, it's just bloody clothes. AKA clothes with blood on. AKA nothing! Oh my god! Something please happen! My coffee's starting to warm up just through my sheer bloody anger! Turns out I'm not the only one who's frustrated, as Americandy finds SpongeBob punching the back of the truck.
What are you doing?
Lost my temper.
Oh, for what? Nothing's happened!
Sorry I got you into this.
Got you into what? Then Gibbon shows up and says,
You gotta see this.
So they all climb the small tower and SpongeBob says,
What the hell happened here?
by the looks of it, absolutely nothing! Meanwhile, Johnny and his team head down into this bunker which seems to be made out of Ferrero Rocher. And one of his team reports,
I found the access.
good to know. If we need to chop some wood, we'll use them. But then the snake sneaks up on him, so he lets rip with his flamethrower, right next to these explosive barrels, which was somewhat foolish to say the least. And just as Goatee McGree walks in, the shed explodes, singeing his precious beard after all. The Spenge Brigade go and see what happened, but this much excitement is bad for SpongeBob's chin, so he tells Johnny that they're leaving. Seriously, could he not have hired anyone more reliable than this pillock? Back at the vehicles, the snake attacks one of Johnny's men, and not only makes him do an unnecessarily long scream, but it also sets one of the truck's wheels on fire for some reason. So it looks like they're going to be walking home, and Johnny gives SpongeBob a check for $100,000 and tells them to leave.
Here you go. Paid in full.
But instead of simply walking to the nearest town, they decide to stay because they're idiots.
Alright, look. I'm sorry I got you into this situation. But I'm telling you right now, if you tag along, I'm not responsible for you.
Which is fairly reasonable if you ask me. And bloody hell, his head is taking the piss now. So they all head down into the Ferrero Rocher bunker, and it's not long before they're attacked by the snake, which they hold off with a barrage of gunfire.
You guys aren't afraid of snakes, are you?
Dude, you just punched the guy who gave you $100,000 and the opportunity to leave, which you didn't take. This guy is a prick. But their bullets don't keep the snake at bay for long, so they climb up onto this platform trying to escape. Well, except for Gibbon, who thinks it's a good idea to stand out in the open and shoot at it like a bell end. So the snake squirts him with acid before giving him the chomp. Henchman number 1 lobs a grenade to give them a chance to retreat, but the flash temporarily blinds Americandy, and probably did bugger all to the snake, so well done. And we also get another Jungle Gym bastard climbing up like a maniac. Man, I'm gonna have to take a note of all these Jungle Gym bastards! Bastards! So they make their way past this barricade and see a sign which no one can understand.
Anybody read Russian?
Aye, I can read it, pal. It says, Octo Pow Ho, Cobniodan, Ichno Bunera, B3 or Nacho N, Pabatoni. And what does that mean? How the fuck should I know? Anyway, Johnny finds the container the snake was in and begins to take his sample, when SpongeBob walks in and asks who he really works for.
I'm CIA.
Ah, so he applied for the FBI and got into the CIA. Makes sense. I applied for a pilot's license and got told to fuck off. And he tells SpongeBob that the snake is a government experiment which got loose, just like in the first movie. So the government made a giant snake twice and let it get loose and go on a rampage. Twice. Hell, when you put it like that, we sound pretty incompetent, don't we?
So now you know the whole ugly truth. Now tell me something.
Why the long face? Bah! And Johnny gets a call from his superiors saying he now has 2 hours before the area is sanitised. And I mean with an airstrike, not with a packet of antibacterial wipes. But what I want to know is why the hell are all these door frames so small? I reckon the architect was about 5'5" and had it in for anyone taller. So Johnny and his men go looking for an escape route and tell the others to stay put till they're back.
Stay with her.
Nah, mate, I thought I'd just wander off and leave my temporarily blind wife on her own. But then he hears a noise, and despite her even saying,
"Don't you leave me,"
Dingus Dongus over here does exactly that. Man, this character is a tosser with a capital dickhead. And to make matters worse, he gets knocked out by someone, which turns out to be General Cabbage, who then attacks Americandy saying,
"Why did you bring this hell to my base?"
What are you talking about? You brought the snake to the base yourself! Thankfully, SpongeBob saves her by bonking Cabbage with the fire extinguisher Cabbage bonked him with.
I son of a bitch!
Damn it, Nalia!
I told you not to leave me.
Sorry.
Nah, mate, you left your blind wife alone and she nearly got choked to death. You are never gonna hear the end of it. Meanwhile, Frankie No Fringe gets attacked by the snake, which gives him a good chomp before tossing him into oblivion. Johnny then finds his gun on the ground and says, "Son of a bitch." As if you leave a gun lying on the floor. I could have tripped over that and bruised me gooch. But then, plot twist for the muckers, there's actually 2 giant snakes. So hang on, you're telling me that that small container, which clearly wouldn't have fit one 85-foot snake in it, actually had 2 in it?
That's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard.
So Johnny and the gang go and tell SpongeBob and Americandy the bad news.
Our way's blocked out by fire.
Sorry, say that again.
Our way's blocked out by fire.
Don't you mean our way out is blocked by fire? No, Spenge, you rectangle fuck!
We need C4 to blast through the flames.
Or we could just use the fire extinguisher I knocked out General Cabbage with to put out the flames. Shut up, Spenge, we're using the C4 to explode the fire and that's that! Only problem is the C4 is in the truck outside. So in their infinite wisdom, they decide the blind lady is going to have to crawl through the ventilation system and go get it. I can't. I just can't. The stupidity is too much, man. SpongeBob protests and says,
"Forget it. No way."
It's our only chance, daughter.
No.
For God's sake, will you stop scratching your ass while I'm talking to you? The hell's wrong with you, like? So off Americandy goes through the vents, and the others realise General Cabbage has run off, but they find him in the next room destroying a phone and saying,
"The world will know of this. I've told them."
The world will know of this. I've told them.
I've told them.
With one phone call in 30 seconds? What? Meanwhile, Americandy manages to make her way through the vents, out the base, through the forest, and to the van, all while blind. She fills her bag and she heads back inside, but comes across one of the snakes on the way. She tries to evade it, and I assume she can see now because there's no bloody way she'd be able to do any of this while blind. And I kid you not,
hold on to your butts.
She manages to get back to everyone without going through the ventilation system! So why in God's name don't they just go out the way that she came in? What do they even need the dynamite for? You mean the C4? It doesn't matter, Ken! It literally doesn't matter! Whoa, it's alright, lad. It's just a movie. Is it though, Ken? Is it though? So they all set off to go and explode the fire out of the way, which is the stupidest thing ever. But while they're on the precarious walkway, General Cabbage rocks up shouting, "Don't leave me!" Mate, you are not coming with us. You're weird. And not the good, quirky kind of weird. The smelly, gross kind. Then one of the snakes pops up, gives him the chomp, then sods off. But then the second snake attacks too and breaks the walkway, with Henchman 1 hanging on for dear life. SpongeBob tries to save him, but both he and the snake fall into the abyss. I don't know why I'm bothered, because I didn't know him well at all, but still, no! So while Henchman 2 goes to set the C4, Johnny calls his superiors to tell them to call off the incoming airstrike.
This is Larson, the game is not over, reset the clock. She fucking hang up on me!
What happened?
The call went well, obviously. Oh look, your shoelace is undone. Then when SpongeBob and Americandy show up, Johnny knocks out Spenge and gives Americandy a backhanded schmack, because apparently he's the baddie now. Oh great, and now they've ruined the best character by making him a baddie! He detonates the C4 to explode the fire out of the way, but then he gets Spenge-bebbed, and the two of them throw down, which ends up in a bit of a standoff as Americandy picks up the detonator for the last of the C4. But the standoff doesn't last for long, as one of the snakes slithers up behind Johnny and... Right, that's it, I'm done! Hey, where do you think you're going? The movie isn't over! Screw this goddamn movie! And he's gone. Oh dear, looks like it's up to me to finish it. Right, here we go. So, Johnny is wrapped up tighter than gift-wrapped pantyhose. SpongeBob picks up the last of the C4 and throws it into the snake's mouth. Then Americandy hits the detonator, which causes the snake to explode. Then the two of them leave before the airstrike hits, which kills the other snake, before they are found by the Russian military, and probably spend the rest of their lives in jail. End of movie. Right, I'm back, and I've got an idea. I'm going to change the end of the movie. I kind of just finished it myself while you were gone. Well, rewind the bastard, because I'm not having it end like that. So after the C4 is set up, Johnny notices his mate has got a spider on his head. So Johnny tries to shoot it off, but ends up shooting his mate in the head instead. Then SpongeBob and Americandy rock up with the snake right behind them, and Johnny says, "Stand back, you shit characters! I've got this." And he shoots lasers out of his eyes, which makes the snake explode. Then the three of them run outside, and Johnny's got a jetpack and a rocket launcher now, and he blows up the other snake. Then the Russian military show up, and SpongeBob goes, "Bah!" So they shoot him to death. Then Johnny picks up Americandy, and the two of them jetpack their way to the Maldives and get fucking hammered. End of movie. And there we have it, folks. Python 2 is bollocks. Sorry, but there's no sugarcoating this one. It's boring, makes no sense, the effects are terrible, and they ruin the best character from the first movie. I'd rather eat rocket dipped in Marmite than watch this shite again. Boa vs. Python is a 2004 creature feature directed by David Flores. When a giant python escapes captivity and goes on the rampage, a scientist releases a genetically modified giant boa constrictor to hunt down and stop the ravenous reptile before it kills again. So the movie begins with some seriously disorientating editing before we see these lot loading something onto the back of a truck, which is either a giant snake in a box or it's not. And at the same time this is going on, we also see a wrestling match is about to begin.
And now, the match you have all been waiting for.
It's about damn time I've been waiting for 30 seconds over here. Turns out the match is Boa vs. Python. Yay! But don't get too excited, because that's just the name of the two wrestlers. Aww. We also meet the villain of the movie, Von Cruz, and his girlfriend, Schlapper, because Von Cruz likes to slap that ass. Then this waitress rocks up and is like, "Here's your glass of yellow, sir." "Damn it, I asked for a glass of blue, with a slice of yellow." "Oh, I'm so sorry, shall I take it back?" No, I'll drink it. Reluctantly. Then he gets a phone call. Hello?
It's Ramon.
Who?
It's Ramon.
Which Ramon's that again?
It's Ramon.
Oh, that Ramon. How you doing, Ramon?
It's Ramon.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Ramon. I hope your guinea pig recovers from the scuba diving accident quickly. Anyway, how's the delivery of my giant python going?
It's Ramon.
Excellent. I look forward to seeing it soon. Bye.
Stupid cunt.
Oh, there's no need for that. He may be a cunt, but he's not stupid. So they watch the fight play out while inside the truck this fella is busy dreaming about celery with wheels, when suddenly he's woken up by a blinking light on the snake box and says,
"We have a problem back here. It's awake."
It's Ramon.
So they pull over and Ramon whips out this stupid looking gun to trank the snake. But of course, as soon as it's opened, the snake's tail starts whacking everyone off their feet. So they all start shooting at it, and their careless gunfire accidentally opens the box fully. And the giant python begins killing them all off screen, because it's going to be one of them bloody movies, isn't it? Back to the fight, and Python, the wrestler, is getting his ass kicked.
Boy, these are $500 seats. We're the ones who pay for the view here.
Oh, I think you overpaid, mate, by about $490. The snake containment isn't going well either, so Ramon pulls out an explosive and sets it for 30 seconds.
What are you doing? It's Ramon.
What do you mean you're going to blow us all up? And it looks like Boa has won the wrestling match too, much to the delight of Von Cruz, who then hops on board his Von Cruz plane, which is somewhat lacking subtlety. On board he lights up his 10th cigar of the day, while Schlapper has a bath. on a plane. Maybe I'm wrong, but having a bath on a plane seems like a very foolish idea. No, I think you're right, Ken. Although I would be curious to see what would happen if they had severe turbulence. Then Von Cruz gets a call from Dennis Nedry, who tells him what's happened to the truck and the transport crew. Oh, great. Now what are we going to hunt this weekend? Hey, Dennis, I don't suppose you could sneak a T-Rex out of Jurassic Park for us, could you? Sorry, buddy, but I'm stealing embryos for Dodgson this weekend.
Fat fuck!
Do you want me to call the boys and tell them the hunt is off?
No.
Or when the crash occurred specifically.
Just tell them
I am topless. Meanwhile, at the truck, this government agent turns up to see what's going on. I'm going to call him Special Agent Plateau, or maybe just Splato for short. Then he's accosted by this news reporter who says,
"So is the government officially deeming this an accident?"
Go away! Okay, but just one more question. How would you describe knives?
Sharp. Now, if you don't mind.
So he goes to inspect the trailer and finds this large scale inside. Then his colleague says,
What do you think of this?
Well, it looks pretty dead to me. No, not that. This small pink thistle. Isn't it pretty? Ha! Why, yes, I believe you're right. Well, you know what? I think that's case closed. Or at least it would be if they didn't find this broken hatch with blood on it going down into some tunnels. Which ends up leading to this water treatment plant, where this guy says,
What is that?
Marco, that's the ceiling. It was also the ceiling yesterday. And the day before that. But then something grabs one of them and starts dragging him off screen.
Carl! 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 Carl!
And then poor Marco gets got too. Back to the truck and this deputy says, Hey, you lot dare me to dive face first into that corpse over there, 'cause I'll do it! Oh, no! Deputy? What are you doing, man? Sorry, Chief. Right, well, I want guards at every tunnel exit in a 5-mile radius. And can somebody please explain to me why there's a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit on this wide stretch of road in the middle of nowhere? It's irritating the shit out of me. Elsewhere, and we finally meet one of our protagonists. I'm going to call her Barbie Q, because she is smoking. And she's having a bet with these lads that she can hold her breath underwater for longer than they can.
Tyler here's half fish.
Aye, me mother was a marlin.
Bet I can take him.
I don't think so. Tyler was in Navy SEAL school.
Oh yeah? Well, so was I. And those Navy SEALs were just so cute. So the two of them jump into the water and stare each other down, and it looks like they're evenly matched. But then Barbie Q starts to undo her bikini top, which makes Tyler Bourbon involuntarily start chugging water, swiftly leading to his defeat. Lucky for her, this 30-something-year-old fella had never seen boobs before. Otherwise that plan would have never worked. Then she decides to eat her winnings before...
Agent Sharp wants to see you. There is a car waiting for you outside to take you to the airport.
Sorry, can you say that again, but slower and with less mumbling? So Barbie Q takes a ride with Splato, and we find out she works with dolphins and has made some sort of new tracking technology which Splato wants to use to find the giant python. She agrees, but they're going to need something to attach it to. So they arrive at this snake reserve and speak to Dr. Snake, who is a snake doctor, if you can believe it.
He's probably got the whole crazy, bug-eyed, mad scientist thing going on.
And I bet he looks like that guy who was in Cube, Stargate Atlantis, and played the angry neighbour in Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Ha! I knew it! So they go inside his snake lab and Barbie Q has a gander at his snakes and says,
Doesn't it bother you in the least working with these things? I mean, one bite in your history.
Well, actually, only about a quarter of all snake species are venomous. And out of those, only a third are able to cause serious harm or death to humans. Splato says they've come to see the giant boa constrictor he's raised in captivity. So Dr. Snake opens this big door and says,
Follow me.
Nah, I thought I'd just wander around on me own, eh? So they enter its enclosure and he says,
Betty is probably the largest scarlet boa on the planet.
Probably the largest? Probably? So Splato says,
I'd like to use your boa to help me find this.
No need for that, mate. It's already there in your hand.
You son of a bitch.
Back to Von Cruz, who is waiting on his hunting buddies turning up, with the first to arrive being the one, the only, Greg M, followed by Billy Badass. 'Cause I'm a badass! Fanta and his son Tango, and lastly we have the least greatest hunter the world has ever known, Bollock. And collectively they are known as Team Expender Bellend. So they all hop on Von Cruz's plane and he goes over their hunting plan in depth. So we find the snake and shoot it till it's dead. Any questions? Yeah, why do you have a massive solid marble table on your plane? Back to the goodies who are going over their plan too, which involves surgically attaching the tracking equipment to the snake's brain, and also includes a kill switch, should things go tits up. But they better hurry up as the python has broken out of the tunnels and is looking for another meal. Then we see this young couple making out in a car, with the fella saying,
Relax, let Lester take over.
You named your dick Lester?
Well, Lester's its surname. First name, Mo. Then while he's going downtown, he's pulled out of the car by the giant python. And then if you can believe it, the snake takes over, and she somehow doesn't immediately realise that she's being eaten by a snake.
Filthy, but genuinely arousing.
Thankfully, this atrocity doesn't last for long, and the snake makes a proper meal out of her. Back to the others, and Splatto turns up saying they've had reports of more people going missing, so they need to hurry up and get that giant boa ready ASAP.
We can't move her, she's still recovering. But she hasn't got used to the equipment yet.
Look, I'm running short on options and patience!
Man, I hate it when I run short on options and patience! So while the hunters are getting locked, cocked and ready to rock, the goodies prepare to release the boa, and Splatto's colleague says,
Trucking company finally gave us a name on those vehicles we found. Brodick.
The name's Brodick. Brodick. Anyway, off goes the boa into the tunnels, with Barbecue and Dr. Snake watching from its POV, courtesy of her fancy equipment. Back to the hunters, and I'm getting major Anaconda 3 vibes from this lot, even though this movie came out first. And can somebody please explain why Fanta has brought a single-shot musket thing to hunt this snake? If he misses, which he probably will, he'll be more screwed than a recently screwed screw. And if that's not bad enough, Billy Badass, being a Billy Bellend, has only brought one bloody bullet with him.
Never needed more.
You seriously think you're going to take down this giant python with one shot?
Good luck.
Well, for God's sake, even Von Cruz has brought a bolt-action rifle with him. Honestly, these lot make Team Gimp from Anaconda 3 look like professionals. And only adding to their stupidity, Billy Badass decides to run off on his own to lure out the snake, which seems to make Greg M think that he's in Beverly Hills Cop all of a sudden.
Foley! Foley, come back!
But oh no! The python has snuck up on him, and instead of just shooting it, he decides to stand there doing an impression of a middle-aged man screaming. When Von Cruz and the others show up, they only find Billy Badass with Greg M's rifle.
I have two very simple rules here on this hunt. Number 1.
I must be smoking a cigar at all times.
Number 2.
Get really close to my face when I ask you to. What? Now do it. No! Do it. No, I don't want to. Do it or I won't invite you round to play Mario Kart 64 ever again. You wouldn't. Try me. Attaboy. But then they hear somebody shooting, and it appears Fanta and Tango have spotted the snake. So Fanta says,
Oh man, I've been waiting 15 years to use this! Fire in the hole!
And then proceeds to throw a grenade about 2 foot in front of them, because who needs legs, am I right? Unfortunately, both of them survive, and Bollock the hunter tracks the snake to a tunnel entrance. So it looks like their hunt will have to continue underground. But after they have a lunch break, because you can't hunt a giant python on an empty stomach now, can you? Back to the others, where Barbecue has lost the video feed from the boa, so she employs a very sophisticated method of fixing the problem.
Violence and technology, not good bedfellows.
And while she's trying to fix it, their security detail wanders off because they're idiots. And then, for reasons I simply cannot comprehend, the soldiers start shooting at the snake they're supposed to be following to the other snake! What? After their lunch, the hunters prepare for the next stage of their hunt, and now Von Cruz has a flamethrower! Yes! So they descend into the tunnels and split up into 2 teams, with Fanta saying,
Stand back, boy, I'm in charge.
And in pain! Oh! Back to the others, and Barbecue asks Splatto,
You alright?
Yeah, just a little pissed.
Drunk on the job. Disgraceful. Then she checks the feed and it looks like the snakes have found each other, and are getting on a lot better than expected. Then Dr. Snake comes up with the idea of sealing off all the exits to their location, bar 1, then flooding the tunnels, forcing them outside where they can be tranquilised. So they radio the gang up top to open the water valves and start making their way out. But when Splatto walks round this corner... Oh my god! Quick! Before you die! How would you describe the quality of this video?
Outstanding.
You heard him, folks! Like and subscribe, you buggers! Anyway, Billy Badass is like,
Whoops.
What the hell did you do that for? Well, sorry, he looked like an 80-foot snake to me. Oh, and speaking of which, I believe it's grabbed me by the legs. Bleh. Then the python tail whips Fanta into a fence, where he's apparently killed by this spike sticking out of it. Well, it's better than another off-screen kill, I guess. But then the tunnel begins to flood, so our heroes leg it, leaving Tango to be killed by it off-screen. Ugh. Meanwhile, Von Cruz and the gang find the snake's nest of eggs, one of which Schlapper foolishly picks up.
She came here to nest.
Yeah, well, there's only one problem.
I've dropped my cigar. But then the boa shows up behind Schlapper, who drops the egg and gets wrapped up by the slithery scoundrel. Von Cruz tries to singe it into letting her go, but instead it crushes her to death and then bites Bollock in half. Why, oh why didn't I call him Jeff? Damn it! Elsewhere, Dr. Snake and Barbie Q are forced to jump into the water to avoid the python, with Splatto's corpse floating past like, "Ah yeah, I'm dead, eh?" Then because Dr. Snake looks like he's passing a kidney stone, Barbie Q shares her air with him so they don't drown, even though the majority of it clearly goes to waste, but whatever. Then when the coast is clear, they get out of the water and hightail it out of there, but end up running into Von Cruz, who is really pissed off because he no longer has a cigar on him. Oh, and because his girlfriend's dead too, I guess. But as he starts to get rowdy with them, who should show up but good old Agent ADR.
You're under arrest for poaching and illegal animal importing. Take him away.
Back up top, and our heroes tell Splatto's second-in-command that he's dead.
We know. We found his body in the reservoir.
It was hilarious. Von Cruz then tells everyone about the nest of eggs they found, and Dr. Snake realises that his boa must have been pregnant before it bumped coils with the python. Man, for a giant snake, she sure does get around, doesn't she? So they bring up the video feed and see the python eating the eggs because it's a proper shit. But while they're distracted, Von Cruz somehow manages to steal an APC and rolls on out of there like,
"I'm taking this thing to Mexico."
Then the goodies hear something odd, and are like,
"What is that?"
Sounds like machinery.
It's music.
I thought you secured a 5-mile perimeter.
Whoopsie daisy!
Yep, it turns out there's a rave nearby which they somehow missed. And this has got to be the shittest looking rave since House of the Dead. And it's about to get a whole lot worse, as the python turns up behind DJ Spatial Awareness, who just thinks the crowd is digging his fat tunes. And our heroes show up just in time to see him get munched. Oh shit! So everyone panics and vacates the venue, but before Dr. Snake can trank the python, Von Cruz rocks up with his flamethrower saying,
"Die, you slithering piece of shit!"
And as he lets rip, we can clearly see he has a cigar in his mouth. Then in the very next shot, it's gone. Continuity error! Then he takes the cigar straight out of the mouth of the guy stood next to him and starts setting all the soldiers on fire because he's absolutely lost the plot by this point. Dr. Snake and Barbie Q run off and hide behind this gate as the python tries to get them. But then the boa comes crashing through the ceiling. But she's well mad that the python ate her eggs. And we finally get some actual boa versus python action. In the last 5 minutes of the movie. Von Cruz isn't about to be upstaged by a snake fight though, so he tears off his vest and starts shooting up the joint like a madman. But then, BAM! Dr. Snake shoots him with a tranquilizer dart, which makes his cigar really leaky, before the two snakes each grab an end and rip him in two. Then it's back to the snake fight and the ruckus makes the floor collapse, and they fall through the floor into a subway station? What? Our heroes make their way down there and stand in front of a green screen as Dr. Snake reluctantly activates the kill switch on the boa, which jolts her out of the way before a subway train smashes into the python and knocks its head off in the process.
I killed her.
No, you saved her life.
By killing her? Yeah. And so the day is saved. Our heroes have a celebration hug, but then they realise the boa is gone. Ha! Turns out she didn't die after all. And sometime later and they're off to find the snake again.
We make a pretty good team, you and me.
And Betty makes 3.
Which is actually the name of the sequel, which never got made, because why the hell would they? End of movie. And there we have it, folks. Boa vs. Python is not a very good movie. In fact, it's a pretty terrible one, to be honest. Yet it still managed to entertain me for its short runtime, mostly through its sheer stupidity, making it an ideal pick to watch if you ever want to get shit-faced with your mates and fancy a good laugh. So, the Python movies, what did you think of them? Did you like them? Did you love them? Let me know in the comments below while I dance like I've never danced before! Bless him. He's going to sleep well tonight.